Have you noticed that today, living like an ordinary person costs the same as living like a millionaire 10 years ago? And the worst part, we think that's normal. Fast food has become a luxury. Eating out is almost an event, and money vanishes before you even see where it went. Want to understand why money seems to evaporate every month and why you're not getting richer? Then stay with us and uncover the secret of those who truly know how to build things. Welcome to the Code of Wealth. You're now part of a select group, less than 1% of the people on Earth. Subscribe and activate the notification bell so you won't miss a single video. Because every revelation here is a key, and every key opens a door within you. The world has turned waste into virtue and haste into proof of success. But there's a moment, silent, almost invisible, when that narrative begins to crumble. And it's in that instant that true discernment is born. Discernment is when you stop asking, how much does it cost? And start asking, why do I want it? It's when impulse yields to awareness and desire passes through the filter of clarity. Awakening doesn't happen when you learn to earn more. It happens when you understand that money is a mirror. It reflects your inner state. If there's confusion, it slips through your fingers. If there's clarity, it multiplies in silence. Most people work to sustain distractions. They call comfort what is in truth escape. They spend to appear calm, when what consumes them most is the fear of not having enough. The cycle is cruel. The more they buy, the more they must work to sustain what they bought, and the less time they have to live what truly matters. And still they call it freedom, but there's a minority, rare, almost secret, who begin to see the game from the inside. They realize that real power doesn't come from buying whatever you want, but from not needing what everyone else desires. That's the difference between abundance and compulsion. The truly rich are not those who have everything, but those who master their own impulses, and that no school teaches. This awakening comes with a price. You'll be misunderstood. They'll call you stingy and uncold, calculating. But deep down, those people are just projecting their own disarray. Because controlling what comes in and what goes out requires courage, and most people prefer to stay distracted. The price of awareness is momentary isolation, but the return is the freedom that few will ever know. Stopping wasteful spending isn't denying pleasure, it's refining it. It's turning consumption into ritual. Dinner at home with someone you love, prepared calmly, is more luxurious than any noisy table at an expensive restaurant. The wine you open slowly at the end of a productive day tastes richer than the one you order to impress. Luxury lies in meaning, not in price. True luxury is the silence that follows a right choice, and there's something almost spiritual about it. When you start respecting your own money, it starts respecting you. When you spend with purpose, it returns in opportunities. Because money at its core is energy, and like all energy, it responds to the frequency you emit. If you use it to fill voids, it disappears. If you use it to expand your life, it blossoms. This is the beginning of the code. It's not about living less, and it's about living with precision. About clearing the noise, cutting the excess, and keeping only what makes you grow. It's the first step out of the crowd's confusion and into the clarity of those who truly know what they're doing. And when that happens, the world changes color. You stop being a hostage of the showcase and become the architect of your own worth. If this passage made you think, don't let it fade. Write in the comments what you've realized no longer deserves your money. The price of the automatic. The problem isn't the price of the world. It's how much you pay without noticing. Money doesn't disappear suddenly. It slips away slowly through the automatic rituals of daily life. It's the coffee you buy every morning because you deserve it. The quick snack because you're short on time. The dinner out because the day was rough. Small concessions that, added together, build an invisible wall between you and the wealth you could be creating. For years, fast food was a symbol of convenience. Today it's a trap. What once cost 17 reals now costs 60. What used to be quick and affordable has become expensive and empty. You're paying for the habit, not the meal. And the worst part is, you've gotten used to it. You've called comfort what is in truth distraction. Modern life has a hidden cost, haste. It turns the pleasure of eating into a conditioned reflex. And worse, it convinces you that the time you save is worth more than the money you lose, but the math doesn't add up. You gain minutes and lose months of financial stability. Eating out occasionally is a legitimate pleasure. The mistake is turning the occasional into the everyday. When I deserve it today repeats 4 times a week, luxury becomes leakage. The dinner that could have been celebration becomes escape. Pleasure stops expanding you and starts weakening you. Here lies the irony. You're not buying food, you're buying relief. You're buying the illusion of a pause in a world that keeps you exhausted. Meanwhile, companies have discovered the secret. They don't need to sell what you need, only what makes you forget. Marketing doesn't speak to your logic. It speaks to your fatigue. But the antidote is simple and elegant. Presence. Cooking your own dinner is an act of power. It's turning what was an expense into a choice. It's remembering that the time spent on what nourishes your body and mind is the only investment that truly pays in peace. When you cook, you don't just save, you rebuild your rhythm. The flame on the pan is the opposite of hurry. It's the symbol of control. Look back at the month that just passed. How many dinners were celebration, and how many were distraction? How many times did you order delivery because you had no time, and how many times was no time just disguised laziness? Awareness doesn't judge, it illuminates. And once the light turns on, haste loses its power. The same applies to all the micro-automatic decisions. The subscription you forgot to cancel, the gym membership you don't use, the streaming service you haven't watched in weeks. The modern world is a factory of financial autopilots, and every small amount is a reminder that you're funding your own forgetfulness. When you finally see this, something shifts. Dinner at home starts to taste like victory. The simple lunch made with care feels richer than any Instagrammable meal. What changes isn't the plate, it's the purpose. Luxury stops being the restaurant's price and becomes the lightness of knowing your money is where it belongs, serving you, not the other way around. That's the turning point. Because when you start fixing the small leaking faucets, the rivers start flowing again. Money isn't the enemy, and it's the messenger. It shows you with brutal honesty what you truly value. From today on, try doing the opposite. Before you order something, breathe and ask yourself, is this pleasure or is it habit? That single question has the power to save fortunes, because the line between abundance and waste lives in seconds of clarity. If this passage brought you insight, leave your mark in the comments. Share what you've realized you buy on autopilot, and share this video with someone who needs to switch off their financial pilot mode. Because true luxury isn't about rushing, it's about choosing. The code continues. And the second symbol is simple. Who masters their impulse masters their destiny. The fetish of the new. We live in the age of endless updates. Every year, a new model, a new version, a new promise. With every launch comes the same ritual. Lines, glowing store windows, digital showcases. Speeches that speak of innovation, but deliver nothing more than vanity wrapped in glass. Modern humans no longer buy objects. They buy temporary relevance: cars, phones, watches, clothes. The logic is always the same. What was enough yesterday feels outdated today. And so, new stops being progress and becomes addiction. An addiction disguised as advancement. A brand new car loses 20% of its value before it even leaves the dealership. But the buyer smiles, believing in that moment that the purchase is a symbol of power. Yet true power isn't behind the wheel. It's in awareness. The same happens with smartphones. A new model is announced, and suddenly the perfectly fine device you had yesterday feels obsolete. But what really changed? A slightly better camera? A processor a little faster? A photography mode you'll never use? Marketing knows the truth. What they're selling isn't technology, it's belonging. The feeling of being up to date is the modern form of control. You convince yourself that you must stay in the loop, connected, ahead. But ahead of whom? And running toward what? The system makes you confuse motion with evolution. And while you rush to buy the next big thing, you fail to notice that time, the only truly finite resource, is aging inside you. With every new product, an old one becomes worthless. And with every new purchase, a piece of your freedom slips away. You work to pay for the pleasure of seeming up to date, and call that success. But there's something deeply elegant in those who sustain the old with purpose. A wristwatch passed through generations, a used car that still shines, a phone kept clean and cared for. They are symbols of something rarer than luxury, wisdom. The fetish for the new is one of the subtlest forms of modern slavery. You go into debt for something that was born obsolete. You buy an item that loses value, even as you're still paying for it. You finance months of anxiety in exchange for days of euphoria. And when the novelty fades, the cycle restarts. The thrill of purchase lasts minutes, The burden of payments lasts months, but there's a secret the truly wealthy have long understood. Time is the most expensive asset that exists. They don't buy new, they buy freedom. They know every expense is a vote for the future. They take their time to decide, but when they do, they choose with precision. Haste is the signature of those who haven't yet learned the game. So next time the craving for something new calls your name, pause and ask yourself, what exactly will this solve in my life? And if the answer is nothing my old one doesn't already do, smile. You've just defeated one of the most sophisticated traps of the modern age. There's silent beauty in resisting impulse, in caring for what you already have, in being loyal to what still works. That's not scarcity. It's the essence of abundance, because abundance doesn't come from having more. It comes from getting more out of what you already possess. And when you understand that, the world begins to respect you. People feel your balance, your control. You no longer need to chase. Time itself begins to move in your favor. If this passage resonated with you, share it with someone who keeps trading what still works for something better. Write in the comments, I don't need the new, I need the essential. And remember, when you stop being a prisoner of novelty, you become the owner of your time. The theater of appearances. We live inside a stage. A theater where costumes matter more than the script, and the audience applauds not the story, but the packaging. Modern society has turned into a parade of appearances. Every photo a scene, every purchase an attempt to prove worth. But what is value when it needs to be displayed? What is luxury when it must be seen to exist? Modern humans don't wear clothes. They wear stories they never lived. A simple cotton t-shirt that costs $10 gains a logo, and suddenly it's worth $100. There's no difference in the fabric, only in the illusion. The label becomes a talisman, a symbol of belonging, a promise of respect. While the thread is the same, the ego expands, fed by the fantasy that expensive means powerful. But power isn't in the clothing, it's in the gaze. The gaze of someone who dresses with intention, not fear. Elegance is the opposite of excess. It's the silence that commands presence. A truly elegant man or woman doesn't buy to stand out, but to align. What they wear speaks and without shouting, because style isn't in the price, and it's in the presence. Brands know this. They don't sell products, they sell projections. And the price of vanity is the highest of all dependence. Each purchase is a confession of insecurity dressed as confidence. You think you're conquering something, but what you conquer is the right to remain enslaved by approval. The showcase hypnotizes you, convincing you that without it, you disappear. At home, the same play repeats itself. Furniture financed in 18 installments, high-end appliances barely used, gourmet pans that become decoration. The home becomes a display, and comfort turns into performance. But a space is only beautiful when it serves the soul, not applause. An expensive couch brings no rest if the mind lives in debt. Design cannot cure emptiness. There's an abyss between having and appearing. Having is silent, appearing is loud. And the louder it gets, the emptier it is inside. People confuse aesthetics with essence. They want the magazine house, the influencer's closet, the body sculpted by consumption. But they forget that true luxury is having time to breathe, to think, to exist, without needing to show. The theater of appearances is the system's favorite stage. It convinces you that value is always outside, and as long as you believe it, you keep buying the ticket. But those who understand the code begin writing their own script. They realize that luxury isn't what fills the house, but what clears the excess. That style isn't about shining, it's about not needing artificial light. True luxury is invisible. It lives in what doesn't need to be said, in a garment with history, in a home that welcomes instead of impresses, in the simple gesture that reveals self-mastery. Luxury is the calm gaze of someone who knows they already have enough. And enough, in an era of aesthetic hysteria, is the highest form of abundance. The next time you feel the urge to buy something just to prove who you are, pause. Observe yourself. Ask, does this serve my life and or the eyes watching me? The answer will be your mirror, and if it's honest, it will set you free. There's beauty in resisting the need to display. There's power in choosing the essential, because every time you choose what truly matters, the world sees you differently, not as someone who needs applause, but as someone who learned to shine in silence. If this part resonated with you, leave your mark in the comments. Write, I don't buy approval, And share this video with those who still believe that luxury must be seen. Because true power isn't what impresses, it's what remains even when no one is watching. The spectrum of status is the most silent addiction of the modern era. It doesn't shout, it doesn't ask permission. It disguises itself as achievement. The desire to be admired, to be seen, to be validated. A nearly biological need to prove worth, not to the world, but to oneself. That's why status is so dangerous. It looks like strength, but it's born from insecurity. We live in a time when people buy to be noticed, not to live better. The watch no longer tells time. It tells rank. The car doesn't take you places. It positions you in the social hierarchy. The bag, the perfume, the sneakers, the restaurant, and each one a message, a silent sentence. Those scream disguised as elegance. Look at me. But the gaze sought outside is only the reflection of an inner absence. Status is a broken mirror. It reflects your image, but never whole. You see yourself, but always missing something. And the more you try to fill that void with consumption, the larger it grows. What the system knows, and few notice, is that status is the most profitable prison ever invented. It makes you run willingly, and thank it for the race. The truly wealthy learned long ago that real power doesn't flaunt. True power needs no attention. A truly prosperous person is discreet. Their clothes are quiet, their gestures light, their presence enough. They don't need to prove themselves because they've built something stronger than image, reputation. And reputation is what remains when the shine fades. Meanwhile, those who haven't yet understood the code keep going into debt to appear rich. They buy luxury cars with suffocating payments, designer bags with interest, watches that cost more than the time they measure. They live to sustain a narrative that drains them. Prisoners of their own display case. Status isn't a sign of success. It's a substitute for identity. It's born the moment you no longer know who you are without applause. But those who seek approval lose sovereignty. The truest luxury is invisibility, when you choose it. To not show up, and still move the world through what you do, not what you show. Financial freedom and emotional freedom are inseparable. As long as you need others' validation, you'll remain poor, even with money. Because true wealth begins when you no longer need to be seen to feel whole. When silence is worth more than exposure. When discretion becomes the new symbol of power. The world bows before those who don't explain themselves. And here lies the irony. The status so many chase is only reached by those who no longer crave it. Genuine respect comes from competence, constancy, self-mastery. No brand, no jewel, no car replaces that. The presence of authenticity carries an authority that can't be bought, only cultivated. So next time the urge to prove yourself arises, breathe. Let it pass. You don't need to show. What's true in you doesn't need validation. It needs to be lived. Abundance is silent. Power is contained. Wealth is subtle. When you align with that energy, status loses color, and your life gains depth. Share this video with someone still trying to prove themselves. Write, I don't need to be seen, I need to be true. Save this reminder. The world admires what glitters, but follows only what's real, the invisible theft. The modern world has learned how to rob you without you even noticing. Not through violence, through distraction. Money is no longer taken from your hands. It's drained from your habits. And the most dangerous part? You participate in it, smiling. The traps aren't in the big purchases, as they hide in the small ones. Subscriptions, fees, plans, clubs, benefits. Each seems harmless until your bank statement becomes a cemetery of micro-debts. You don't remember where they came from. But they're all there, tiny ants carrying away the weight of your effort. Companies don't want you to think. They want you to repeat. They want you to forget that the service exists. Their profit lies in your absence. Your economy lies in your awakening. What looks like convenience is in truth control. The monthly subscription you barely use. The app that quietly charges. The gym plan you never attend. The streaming service playing in the background while you scroll. None of this is comfort. It's a subtle transfer of power. Each small charge is a promise of freedom that becomes a leash. And the system knows. If the cost is low enough, you won't resist. But together, those cents build walls between you and the future you could have had. What money buys is irrelevant next to what it prevents, because while it seeps away, what's lost is potential. The dreams that could have been funded, the businesses that could have been built, the journeys that could have transformed you. But none of it happens because your capital is trapped in distractions disguised as comfort. There comes a moment when awakening must turn into action, cancel, review, simplify. It's not about saving money. It's about reclaiming dignity. When you clear what no longer serves, energy begins to flow again. The same current that once carried your money away starts bringing back your peace. Wealth isn't about having more. It's about losing less. And less isn't poverty. It's precision. It's spending only on what expands you. Pay with joy, cut without guilt. Today, look at your statement as you would your own mind. Every charge is a belief. Every subscription, a story. Ask yourself, how many of those stories still make sense? Abundance begins with order, and order begins with attention. Because money is a loyal servant. But if you fall asleep, it finds another master. Share this video with someone who always says, "It's just $20. Right, nothing is small when it repeats. And remember, every automatic yes is an invisible no to your future. The code moves forward. And the sixth symbol reveals a simple truth. Those who guard the invisible multiply the visible. The code. In the end, everything comes down to one art: discernment. Wealth isn't about money, it's about clarity. It's about recognizing what deserves your energy and what only seeks to consume it. It's the moment when awareness turns into discernment and discernment becomes power. You don't need to abstain from life. You just need to taste it without being devoured by it. Abundance isn't born from denial but from curation. From choosing what stays, what goes, what blooms, and what simply weighs you down. Saving on what doesn't serve you is a spiritual act. It's telling the universe, I know what I want to sustain. And when that clarity sets in, money becomes a tool, not a cage. You start buying experiences, not objects. Investing in silence, not noise. Living with abundance, not anxiety. To be rich in the end is to have time. Time to think, to feel, to choose. The rarest luxury is the peace of looking at your future and smiling. Everything else is performance. The code of wealth isn't a manual, it's a lens. When you put it on, the world reveals what was always hidden. That prosperity is built within, and money is merely the material reflection of what you've mastered in the unseen. From now on, observe every expense, every choice, every impulse. They tell you who you are and what you're sustaining. And when discernment becomes natural, wealth becomes inevitable. You don't need more, you need less but better. You need to align intention with direction, because the universe responds to precision, and prosperity isn't a prize, it's a consequence. Share this video with someone who needs that awakening. Leave your mark in the comments and write, I choose to live with discernment. Stay until the end. Something special awaits when clarity becomes habit. And remember, wealth is the reflection of what you master in silence. Time only bows to those who have already decided.